Hi, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. Well, it has finally arrived, the DJI Inspire 1, the straight-out-of-the-box, all-in-one aerial video and still camera system, complete with a much more sophisticated flight system, app interface, and promises a much better video and image quality. But how much better is it than the Phantom 2 Vision Plus series, and is it worth the really pricey upgrade? Well, we scored the Inspire 1 a 47.5 out of 50 and gave it our highly recommended rating. Now, if you're curious to know how we got there, well, stick around and find out. Okay, so first up is build quality. And for starters, this is a completely different design concept than the previous DJI quadcopters. From the side profile, the Inspire 1 kind of looks like one of those aliens from the Alien movie series. But as soon as you take the Inspire out of the case, you know almost instantly that this is a tool designed for professional use. Gone is the plastic toy-like body of the Phantom, as it's been replaced by a much more substantial combination of stronger plastics and a carbon fiber chassis, and a retractable landing gear to ensure that the props stay out of the frame when filming. It's a really nice touch. The gimbal and camera are also much more hefty, and the camera and gimbal are also detachable, implying that future camera upgrades and accessories are a possibility. Coming in at 2.9 kilograms or 6.5 pounds, the Inspire 1 is a much more hefty beast than the Vision 2 Plus. It looks and feels like a professional tool. It's a really nice effort. My only real nit is that the plastic alien hood isn't quite as substantial as the rest of the Inspire, but that's about it. So for build, we give it a 9.5 out of 10. So next up is ease of setup, ease of flight, camera operation, and the Pilot app. When the Inspire first arrived, I opened up the case and I saw a lot more wires and parts than in the previous Vision 2 Plus. It was a little bit intimidating because even the controller had more buttons and switches, and while the Inspire itself, it was actually much bigger than the Vision 2 Plus. Well, after charging the batteries and the controller and then getting it all connected, the first thing you have to do is update the firmware, which sounds pretty simple, but unlike the Vision 2 Plus, in order for the Pilot app to work, the controller has to be connected with a wire to your mobile device. Wi-Fi need not apply. In updating the firmware, well, that entailed a YouTube search because the included documentation was so-so about updating the firmware. But basically, you update the firmware of the controller first with a USB thumb drive, at least that's what I did. Then using that same firmware file, you could then update the Inspire itself. The whole process took about 20 to 25 minutes. And when you're updating the firmware of the Inspire, this thing makes a series of loud and audible beeps and clicks. So if you have a family, don't do this at night because you're going to wake them up. Okay, so the firmware is updated, the batteries are fully charged, and the Pilot app is wired to your mobile device and the controller, and we're ready to go. Now, flight controls are very similar to the Phantom series. That is, you start the Inspire by turning both joysticks inward and downward. Throttle and yaw are controlled by the left joystick, and forward, backward, and left and right are controlled by the right joystick. Much like the Phantom series, the Inspire is very responsive, but what's different is that it's also a lot more refined, as the movements seem to be much more controlled and smooth and not nearly as herky-jerky as it was with the Phantom. The smoother movements make for a much more refined flight experience. It moves more like a luxury car, and you never really get the sense that the Inspire is not perfectly stable, which wasn't always the case with the Phantom. Now, if your first drone happens to be the Inspire 1, you're going to find the controls very intuitive, and in no time you're going to be flying like a pro, with sweeping intro shots, aerial back panning. The camera movement is just overall much less restricted with the Inspire, as getting the shot is much easier. So all in, flight controls are highly intuitive. Now, range has also been improved dramatically this time around, as it's now nearly 2 kilometers. And that's 2 kilometers in terms of line of sight. Tall buildings and telephone wires, well, they're going to cut down on the range noticeably. Next up is the camera operation and the Pilot app. I give DJI a ton of credit for the obvious amount of time and effort that went into the Pilot application. The screen's a little bit busy when you first start up, but each specific section has a very specific purpose, and in no time you're going to know just where to go to achieve the setting that you're wanting for the specific shot, be it video or still. What's really nice this time is the on-controller physical pitch control of the camera, which is really cool. You can see the camera moving there. This kind of control is much more fluid than trying to work the touchscreen on your mobile device the way it was with the Phantom. Moreover, the app allows you to control just how fast the camera tilts up and down, like how responsive it is to this movement. It can make for some really smooth and cinematic moves. Now, I'm not going to cover every aspect of the Pilot app here. DJI has put together a very comprehensive video tutorial that you can watch on YouTube. That thing literally covers every function. But just note the Pilot app is highly customizable, everything from how responsive you want the camera movements to be, to the quality of the images and video. You can also customize these function buttons here, so you can tell what function to attach to these. It's kind of neat. The gimbal is capable of panning 360 degrees with one person operating the app via the touchscreen. If you watch the camera here, you can see it moving. It's pretty cool. And now, when you're flying and the landing gear is retracted, there's no interference from the propellers to ruin the shot. It's just so much more flexible and capable than the Vision 2 Plus. This truly is a professional's tool. The bottom line is the app is highly customizable to meet the needs of nearly every photographer and videographer out there. Now, one of the other big pluses is how well the Inspire operates in really windy conditions. I did a shoot a few weeks back in literally 25-mile-an-hour winds. And to stay stable, the Inspire was literally flying sideways. Seriously. But miraculously, if you're looking at the screen, you think it was perfectly calm outside. It's fantastic. Now, the battery lasts for a solid 15 minutes, which is reasonable. The problem is DJI is pretty far behind in battery production, and obtaining some extras might take some time. But in the end, it's an all-around outstanding effort. So for ease of setup, flight, and camera operation, the Inspire 1 gets a 9.5 out of 10. Up next is optical quality and the quality of the results. For all the Phantom 2 Vision Plus's accolades for smooth video, the quality of the camera itself was somewhat suspect. But you could get away with it because, generally speaking, you were up pretty high shooting aerial video, and truthfully, no one really pixel peeps in video. But the video definitely pixelated, and the quality of the video was just kind of so-so. And that's mainly because the bitrate was so low in that camera that it just didn't do all that great of a job managing movement and motion in the video. But truth be told, it was really easy to look past the video quality because the included gimbal device did such a great job of smoothing it out that if you weren't moving around all that quickly, the video quality was frankly perfectly adequate. The big difference this time is in the Inspire 1's vastly improved and much more capable camera. The difference in quality, well, it's really noticeable, but there are a couple of important caveats. On the plus side, the new lens is rectilinear, which means you don't get that fisheye distortion effect that we saw on the Vision 2 Plus, and the new camera shoots in 4K video at 24 and 25 frames per second. It also shoots in ultra high definition video at 24, 25, and 30 frames per second, and 1080 at 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, and 60p. And the maximum bitrate of the camera has been bumped up to 60 megabits per second, which is a big improvement. But the real game changer is in fact the addition of the 4K video. And overall, it has better still quality. Now, to be fair, the stills, well, they're still kind of average and somewhat grainy. But again, because we're shooting faraway landscapes usually, it's not the kind of thing that the average Joe is probably going to notice. Now, the Inspire isn't all that great in low light, but truthfully, neither is the GoPro. And you're going to get a lot of pixelation and noise in the shadows if you're going to do any aerial video shooting at night. Now, mind you, we all know that you could go out there and put your own kit together and get the latest GoPro and attach it to a variety of quadcopters that are available in the marketplace and get 4K aerial video. But the Inspire 1 is, as of this review in March of 2015, the only out-of-the-box all-in-one that does 4K right out of the box. Now, like the Vision 2 Plus, the camera still suffers quite a bit from moire. And for stills, the Inspire 1's camera is 12 megapixels, and it's capable of 3.5 and 7-shot bursts. And you can also set this thing up to do like a jury-rigged version of time-lapse. Because as we mentioned earlier, the drone is really stable. In fact, I heard one reviewer describe it as a tripod in the sky. So if you're shooting 4K and then up the speed by 1500% in Final Cut Pro, you can get a very similar time-lapse effect. And here's a sample as to what that looks like. Now, it's not all good news because on the downside, the field of view for the Inspire's new lens is only 94 degrees, or roughly 20 millimeters full-frame field of view equivalent, which is significantly more narrow than the 140-degree field of view that we had on the Vision 2 Plus. So even though you get better image and video quality, you're going to have to fly a little bit higher and a little bit further back to get a similar look to your images. Now, don't get me wrong, 20 millimeters is still plenty wide. It's just not ultra wide. And something else that I noticed, and this could be because of the power improvements with the new motors that are on the Inspire 1, I do see more camera shake than I'd like at times, particularly during climb and descent. It does have the capability or potential to distract from the quality of the video. But all in though, we thought the new camera and gimbal offered significant improvements over the previous generation. But as with all of my reviews, rather than me talking about the improvements in quality, it's probably better if I just show you. The next 2 to 3 minutes will be a series of videos and then a series of stills taken with the DJI Inspire 1. And in my opinion, the cup is just overflowing with cinematic awesomeness. So last up is value. And to return to the original question, is there enough here to justify the nearly tripling of the price of the DJI Phantom 2 Vision Plus? Well, when you consider the more robust build quality, the fact that the camera image and video quality are vastly improved, a much more refined flight experience, a retractable landing gear that allows for propeller-free shooting, a gimbal that allows for 360-degree rotation, and an interface that offers more customization than Burger King, well, you really can have it your way with the Inspire 1. Now, with those advantages alone, then I think the answer is yes, it can be worth it. Because unlike the overall consumer look and feel to the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, the Inspire feels and acts more like a professional tool. It's an amazing piece of kit that delivers the goods both in videos and to a lesser extent in stills. The only real downsides that we could come up with were, well, setup takes quite a bit longer than the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, especially the firmware updates. The app has so many options and choices that there's a bit of a learning curve, which frankly is as much of a pro as it is a con. The field of view of the lens is only 94 degrees, so that means you're going to have to fly a little bit higher and go a little bit further back to get similar fields of view as the Phantom's camera. And lastly, the Inspire, like so many other small sensor cameras, still isn't all that great in low light situations, as the images will pixelate in the shadows quite a bit. But in good light, then it's really hard to beat the overall combination that the Inspire offers. Even at $2,899, there's still a tremendous amount of value to the Inspire 1, and as such, for value, we gave it a solid 9.5 out of 10. Okay, so to summarize the Inspire 1 from DJI, we gave it a 47.5 out of 50 and our highly recommended rating. The final word. If you're into professional-looking aerial videography and photography, and you need an all-in-one solution, then really look no further than the DJI Inspire 1, with its outstanding combination of ease of flight control, a highly customizable camera and flight application, amazing 4K video, and decent 12-megapixel stills, and lastly, professional carbon fiber build quality. Then the DJI Inspire 1 is a high-quality, all-around aerial drone worthy of its nearly $3,000 price tag. I just wish the camera could shoot stills as well as it shoots 4K video. This is Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. If you like these reviews, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, happy flying.